everyone, and thank you for purchasing the Image and Text Block Shopify section by qwiqode. In this video, I'll be showing you how to actually use it. So if you haven't installed it yet, please refer to the separate video included in the package. And you also have access to a PDF with instructions. So to get started, head over to your theme editor, navigate to the page you added the section that you want to add the section to. Over on the left, click on Add Section and search for the section. And we get some default content and settings to get you started. Over on the left is where we add in the different text blocks. So we have image or video. We have a text block section right over here. This is a different section. And we have a button. So we can add in more text blocks as we see fit. However you want to add the content, you can add another button. And you can also add just one more image or video. You can't add more than two. So let's start adding the content in. So let's start from the top. And this one, we'll add in an image. And then we can here add in a video. So if we wanted to choose a video, we would select video from the top here. And you could paste the video URL of a YouTube or a Vimeo video right over here. Or you can upload your own local MP4 video, and so you would go into settings files in the Shopify admin, upload the video, and then you have a button there to copy the path, and you would paste it right in here, and it would override the YouTube video. You have an option for video poster image, so you could basically put an image above it. Let's just use the same image for now, but then you get the play button, as you can see. You can also have your own play button or play icon. Just upload it up to here, a PNG with a transparent background, and you can place it right in there. Or if you have an SVG for more advanced users, you can also upload that to settings files and then paste the path right over there. You can adjust the size of it. And you can also set autoplay, loop video, and show controls of the video as well. Next, the text blocks. So here you have a place that you can edit the blocks themselves and the text right over here. So let's just do that and do that. Now we can also move this button, let's say, in between. And then for the button, we can change the text of it. Let's make it capital. Add the link that you want. Then you can customize the styling of it, and we've separated them so that each one can get different styling if you like, and I'll highlight that in a second. So if we want a different font, we would click on that checkbox, and then let's say Anonymous Pro or something like that. You can set to have it bold or regular, however you'd like. You can adjust the size of the button, the width of the button, excuse me, like that. The border width, so if you want a border to it, so let's add a border to this first one. Let's make it 2 pixels. We'll get to the colors in a minute. Let's add to round the corners, 10 pixels. Then we have an option to add more margins for the button, so you can add more space here, or if you'd like it to be closer to the text. And then we have horizontal and vertical padding. So vertical padding is the space within the button, so you can make it shorter, something like that. And horizontal padding is the space to the sides. So here, with the horizontal padding, it's basically an adjustment along with the max width. So you can increase this, and so the padding here increases, but the width stays this maximum that you've set it So it really does depend on the length of the text along with this. If you do that, see, so it's just a little bit of a play. Usually you might not have to even add in any horizontal padding, however it would work out for you. Then we can adjust the top margin in mobile view if you want to have a different margin. And then font size. So you can, let's set 14, a little bit smaller. And letter spacing, so if we want a little bit more space between the letters, as you can see. And then the same font size and letter spacing for mobile as well. Next, we have colors. So let's make this one transparent with a border. So to make it transparent, you just remove the color. Let's make the text color this dark gray, and a border color this dark gray as well, like that. And then you have a hover. So as you can see, you can hover over there, so you can adjust these colors as well. If you want it to be blue, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, however you'd like. And adjust the background, the text color, and the border color. Let's do the other button, a little bit different, but I think you probably understand the concept. So we could do Shop Now. Let's choose that same font. Let's make it bold. A little bit smaller, like that. Border width 2, border radius 10, and then vertical padding, I think it was at 4, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Font size 14, letter spacing 1. I think it was 14. 14 and 1. Yeah. And then let's make this one that kind of color, like that. And then we can remove this here, get that color, and so you can do the reverse. All right. So we added all our content in. Now let's go for mainly styling and a little bit more content. So we have this to start off with. So we have actually a section subtitle. So this is this little subtitle here. You can let's call it new product, like that. Here we have an HTML element. So for that, there are two benefits to be able to choose. To give the option to choose which kind of element header it is. For the first benefit is in search engines. They scan the page content and look for the headings. The headings usually, it's a summary or it's an intro to the paragraph following it, and so it gives importance to that. And so the lower the number, let's say H1, that's very high importance, and H6 is much lower importance, but it's more than, let's say, a paragraph. H1s is something that you would only put once on a page, so usually that's the main page title. And then for sections and for different areas, you would do, H2 and so on. But this is a small title. This is the main title, so I would recommend keeping this at H4. The other benefit is that it would inherit the styling from your theme. Your theme already has styling set for each of these H1, H2, 3, 4, and so on, like different font size, different weight, and so on. So it would inherit that, so you don't have to go and edit that yourself below. Next, we have the section title here. So our toothbrushes. All right, and here again, we can set the HTML element, so default is H2. And we can also add a text block. So we can put, this is a text intro paragraph. And then let's make it like that. And here you can also set it as one of the H2s, but most probably it'd be best to keep it as paragraph, but you have the flexibility to choose. Next, we have an option for section background. So if we would set this background color, oops, yeah, there we go. So we have this background. We can choose section width regular and then controlled by this max width. So we can make this section much smaller in width or much bigger. And obviously it depends on how much space you have. The theme editor usually is quite limiting in terms of the size of the screen. But when you test on a preview link, you can see how it'll look. And the other option is to set it as full width, and as you can see, it expands to the very edges of the screen. But you can still use max width to adjust this area here. So let's just keep it something like that. Section top margin, bottom margin. So top margin is the space above and then bottom below. So if we want more space from the section above it, we can adjust that, and we want more space below, we can adjust that. Horizontal padding. So it depends on what the max width would be, but you can set horizontal padding and it makes it even smaller, as you can see, like that. It's usually a better play where if you have max width, like a very wide area, and then you add in some padding so this area doesn't touch the outer edges. So that's what it's usually useful for. And then we have padding top and padding bottom. So as you can see, we can give more space within the section, like that. We have the same settings for mobile. So if we go into mobile just to show you, so we have this padding right here. We don't see the gray area anymore because this covers it, but you can adjust the horizontal padding so you have more space there. You can adjust the top and bottom down here below on mobile devices. Content styling. So this is mainly this block right over here. We can adjust the width. So actually, let me first adjust some of the padding. So as you can see, we adjust the padding just so we have a little bit more space to see here. So let's make that 35 and make this 35 as well. So we have that space here, and let's do 35 to the right. And then we can do a little bit more here. And we have another setting we'll get to in a moment to increase the spacing even more if you'd like. Then back to content width. So we can adjust this to be much smaller if we'd like. Obviously, this isn't as useful. It doesn't look as good, but you can make it bigger depending where you want this background to cover. So you can make it cover almost everything or everything, or just get to around half the width of the image. You can also add in a radius to this. So let's make it even bigger so it's more noticeable. And let's change the color as well. Actually, not this gray. Let's do something like that. Actually, let's add a little bit of color to it. There we go. And we have the same padding settings for mobile. Next, we have media settings. So this is basically the image and the video. We can adjust this width as well. So if we want the images to be much bigger, it makes the content area much smaller, obviously, or you can do it something like that, however you'd like. You can add a radius What did we add here? This was 35. We did that. Then we can add what I mentioned before, gap between the media and text, so we can increase this gap here, like so. And we can increase the gap between the two images if we have two images. Obviously, if we don't have two images and I just hide one, then it's always centered, just like so. Next, let's hide this for now. We can choose the dimensions. So we can choose the original dimension, or we can have it cropped to a landscape. This is already landscape, the original image, so there is no difference. But we can choose a portrait image or square, like that, however we want. Let's leave landscape, it looks nice with landscape. And we can switch sides, just like that. And we have a setting for drop shadow. If you notice, there's a slight drop shadow here. If I turn it off, you'll notice how the image is popping a little bit more. You can adjust the shadow color, the spread, and the opacity. So if we increase the opacity, then you'll see the shadow is much more noticeable. Let's make it even more. And then you can make the shadow much smaller, so it looks like it's closer to the ground, so to speak. But usually it looks much nicer like that, and make it much softer. So as you can see when I turn it off, but it really does depend on the look and feel of your brand and of the website itself. We have the same options for mobile, not all of the same options, but we have the options here for gap between media and text, so we can increase that. And as you can see, there's more space above and below, just on mobile. And then if we have two, then we can increase that gap as well. Now, if you have two and you want to show two on desktop, but only one on mobile, you just click that and you see the first one that appears. It'll show up right over there. Next, section title styling, or section text styling. So this area first here at the top. So first of all, we can set center, align of everything, and same thing for the mobile, but let's keep it at left right now. The subtitle, so we can set the color. So let's make this dark, or actually here we'll make it even lighter. Now that's too light. Something like so. Let's choose a custom font. We chose anonymous. Let's choose and then we can also right over here set the font weight so it won't be so bold. Bottom margin, so that's a space below. So let's say we want less space, so we would do that. And then, but there's also top margin for the title, so we can adjust that to make them a little bit closer. And then subtitle font size, do something like that. And then let's give it a little bit of letter spacing, just one, let's say, something like that. And then we have the settings for mobile, which was the bottom margin, font size, line height, and letter spacing. Next, we have the same settings for the title. So let's do that. Let's set this as this dark, and we can choose what we chose before, which was that. And let's make this regular as well. And so here's the top margin, so we can make that a little bit closer. And then bottom margin with this text block. Again, this also has top margin Font size, let's make it bigger. And letter spacing if we want a little bit of letter spacing. And again, same settings right over here for mobile. And then section text block styling. So this is this text. Let's just change the color and keep it like this, but we'll keep the same font. Then here we have the text top margin. So we can look a little bit closer, right over there. And then bottom margin, you can basically make that zero, because we can then later adjust this as well and adjust the font size of this. So if we want it to be a little bit bigger, oops, because it's a intro paragraph, let's go back up here and lower. There we go. Okay. Oops, that was mobile. A little bit closer. There we go. Next, block styling. So the block styling, this is talking about this entire text block of all of these together. So we can add more margin to give more space right over there. And if you've noticed, the taller this is, the more content and the more spacing there are, then the more space we have for the images above and below. So we could do that. We can add more margin bottom here, as you can see. But I don't think we need margin bottom in this case, at least not very much. And then we can add more gap between the blocks. There we go. And we can set the alignment. So if we want to have it center aligned, right aligned, or left aligned. And we have some of those settings for mobile, the relevant ones, of course. Next, we have the title here, so we can adjust that as well, the titles. So let's make that this color. We'll choose that font that we chose before, which was Archibanero. Let's make it regular and not bold. And let's make it bigger. It's a little bit too big. Actually, maybe we should make it bold. There we go. And add a little bit of letter spacing. There we go. And we have similar settings for the mobile version. And then we have the text area, so these text blocks. We'll leave it the same font as that. Maybe we'll leave even the same size, etc. And that's it. So we have those settings and everything is looking very nice. Just like that. You have the video, and that's it. So thank you again. We hope that this section helps you achieve your website goals. If you have any problems or issues, don't hesitate to reach out to us via the support page on our website, and we'll be glad to help and get you up and running right away.